There's only so many times I could say this Davis situation just keeps getting worse. I feel like with this new update, the only thing left to say is, why is this man not in jail yet? Why is LAPD dragging its feet? How do we not have enough yet to lock David up? I feel like at this point, it's pretty clear who killed Celeste. It's pretty clear what the plan was for Celeste. The DA clearly thinks David did this, but there were more than one or two people who had some knowledge of it. A circle around David knew various things. The DA is closing in on somebody, and I believe two people who are very close to David, the singer, were suspects in the murder of Celeste Rivas. Yeah, I have no hope whatsoever in this investigation. We've been hearing the DA is on his tail since about week 2. And what's happened since week 2? David has been around the world. David has been chilling. David has managed to turn over all his properties to his mother's name. David has had ample time to prepare his defense. So we have no faith in this whatsoever. LAPD is a freaking joke. Now, there's an update on this case. The update itself just makes me realize why I don't have any faith in LAPD whatsoever. This update, if it were anywhere else, would be pretty damaging and would get that person in cuffs. But because it's LAPD and they're incompetent, nothing is going to happen to David whatsoever. The private investigator, Steve, who was hired by the house owner, let us know a while ago that when he was initially hired, after LAPD did their raid, he found a treasure trove of information and evidence that LAPD didn't take with them when they conducted their search warrant. They never came back to take these items away. Even though they knew these items were there, they found it during their raids. They took pictures but never seized it into evidence. Steve couldn't understand why. Well, it looks like we finally figured out what that treasure trove of evidence was. It didn't come from LAPD or the DA. It came from the private investigator who spitefully released it because LAPD, instead of going after David, had been going after him. They subpoenaed him, tried to hold him in contempt of court, and attempted to arrest him because he was updating the public on information. They even tried to muzzle the medical examiner's office. So Steve said, F it, and released the information. We now know exactly what LAPD didn't feel was necessary to take. During the search warrant, a burn cage incinerator was found at the Dehaney address, David's primary residence in LA, where a Tesla with Celeste's body was also located. The burn cage could reach 1600 degrees. Human cremations typically require around 1400 degrees. An incinerator is not legal to use within city limits and serves no legitimate purpose at a residential property in the Hollywood Hills. Some will argue it was intended as a prop for a music video, but if that were the case, why deliver a 55-pound burn cage to a private residence under a false name before a world tour? Why was it never used in a video production? There were also additional items present that could have been used in conjunction with the burn cage. LAPD did not seize these items, despite their potential relevance. A law enforcement instructor interviewed by Law and Crime expressed bewilderment, noting that a piggyback warrant could have been obtained to seize the cage after its discovery. The failure to do so raises obvious questions about competence and intent. Even more concerning is the suspicious behavior of people around David, like Neil, who has been scrubbing his social media of posts, including photos of him partying with Celeste when she was only 13. The removal of these posts and the concealment of evidence raises further questions about the circle of people around David and what they might be hiding. All of this paints a picture of obstruction, concealment, and incompetence, making it nearly impossible to trust that LAPD will bring justice in this case. Whoever ordered the burn cage, whoever attempted to manipulate the evidence, and whoever helped conceal key details may have been complicit in the abuse and murder of Celeste. Meanwhile, investigators failed to seize crucial evidence, allowing those responsible time to cover their tracks. At this point, it's clear. If LAPD doesn't act decisively, the trail of evidence risks being lost entirely. The public is left questioning every step of the investigation, every delay, and every misstep that has allowed David to evade full accountability so far. The concern isn't just about the burn cage. It's about the pattern of behavior that surrounds this case. Every step David and his inner circle have taken seems calculated to obscure the truth. Devices wiped, messages deleted, posts scrubbed, everything pointing to one clear reality. Someone doesn't want the full story to come out. And that someone is in close proximity to the victim. Even with the evidence being leaked by the private investigator, Steve, LAPD's inaction raises a huge red flag. Questions that should have been answered months ago remain unanswered. Who ordered the burn cage? Why under a false name? How does this connect to the timeline of Celeste's disappearance and the discovery of her body? These are the exact questions that could break the case wide open, but as it stands, investigators are moving slower than the public can process. Meanwhile, the community watching this unfold online isn't sitting quietly. Social media has exploded. People are dissecting photos, comparing timelines, and pointing out inconsistencies in David's story. Every time a new post disappears, every time a friend scrubs content, it only adds fuel to the fire. The public sees someone attempting to cover their tracks, and that perception is powerful. Another critical aspect is the circle around David. From what Steve and others have revealed, there are multiple individuals who may have knowledge of the events leading to Celeste's death. Their silence is deafening. The longer they remain quiet, the more suspicion grows. People who could testify, provide insight, or even reveal key evidence are staying mum, and each day of inaction risks losing more pieces of the puzzle permanently. The incinerator isn't just a random prop or a coincidence. When paired with the evidence found in the Tesla, the omissions by law enforcement, and the suspicious online behavior of those around David, it begins to form a chilling narrative, one that suggests premeditation, planning, and an effort to cover up the crime entirely. And as viewers and followers of this story continue to dig, more questions emerge about what LAPD might have missed or overlooked intentionally. The next critical step is transparency. Public pressure is mounting, and if authorities continue to stall, leaks like Steve's will keep happening. Every new revelation drives the story further into the spotlight, and the narrative is no longer just about speculation. It's about patterns, behaviors, and the clear trail of evidence that exists. Fans, followers, and concerned citizens are now demanding accountability, not just for David. The people closest to David, the friends, associates, and family members, are now in a precarious position. Every move they make is being watched, every action dissected online. Social media investigators are combing through months of activity, cross-referencing locations, timestamps, and digital footprints. And as more gaps appear, the online narrative gains momentum, forcing attention where official channels have faltered. Even more concerning is the question of motive. Why would a burn cage like this exist at a private residence? Why under a false name? Combined with Celeste's disappearance and the discovery of her body, the implications are chilling. This isn't speculation, this is evidence that raises serious questions about intent and premeditation. And then there's the inner circle. Steve's revelations suggest multiple people could have knowledge about what happened. Their silence, whether out of fear, loyalty, or self-preservation, only fuels suspicion. One by one, investigators, or the public, need to press for answers. Each day of inaction risks losing critical testimony or insight that could finally close this case. Ultimately, this story isn't just about one person. It's about a system failing to act decisively when lives hang in the balance. Every misstep by law enforcement, every delayed warrant, every ignored lead makes the truth harder to uncover and justice slower to reach. The public, however, isn't sitting idle. Through social media, leaks, and investigative persistence, the truth is slowly coming to light. And even if official channels fail, the pressure from the public and independent investigators is keeping this story alive, ensuring that David, his associates, and those who failed to act cannot hide indefinitely. The next steps are crucial. The questions are simple but urgent. Who ordered the burn cage? Who knew about it? What other evidence remains overlooked? And most importantly, will justice finally be served for Celeste, or will this case continue to unravel in public frustration while those responsible evade accountability? This story is far from over, and every new revelation pushes it further into the spotlight. One thing is certain, the world is watching, and every move David, his circle, and law enforcement make from here on out will be scrutinized. The clock is ticking, and the answers everyone is waiting for could finally emerge, if the truth is allowed to see the light. As the investigation, or lack thereof, drags on, the focus shifts to accountability. People aren't just asking what happened anymore, they're asking who is responsible for letting this happen. Every overlooked lead, every ignored piece of evidence, every delay in law enforcement's response raises the stakes. It's no longer just about David, it's about a system failing a victim and a community demanding answers. Meanwhile, the burn cage, the social media deletions, and the unusual behavior of David's inner circle remain under intense scrutiny. Experts, armchair detectives, and concerned viewers alike are piecing together timelines, spotting inconsistencies, and asking the questions that official channels have yet to answer. Each discovery adds fuel to the narrative that something more sinister may have been hidden right under everyone's nose. And then there's the chilling realization: the more David and those around him attempt to cover their tracks, the more attention they draw. Scrubbed social media accounts, removed posts, and mysterious deliveries only serve to amplify suspicion. Each attempt to conceal adds another piece to the puzzle, and the public is relentless in following every lead. But amidst all the chaos, there's a clear message emerging. The story isn't over, and justice cannot be silenced. Independent investigators, leaks, and public scrutiny are keeping the pressure on, exposing every weakness in the investigation. And as each day passes, the walls close in, making it harder for anyone involved to hide or evade responsibility. The haunting question remains: how much longer can the truth stay buried? With the burn cage as a symbol of what could have been, the deleted social media posts as clues, and the remaining unanswered questions piling up, one thing is certain: this case will not stay quiet forever. The public, the media, and justice itself are demanding answers, and eventually someone will have to explain what really happened to Celeste. Every move from here on out will be analyzed, every reaction scrutinized, and every shred of evidence examined. And when the truth finally comes to light, the repercussions could be massive for David, his inner circle, and the system that failed to act when it mattered most. The story isn't just about crime, it's about exposure, accountability, and the undeniable fact that secrets have a way of surfacing no matter how carefully they're hidden. And the world is watching.